They stopped responding. No explanation, no argument, just nothing. And somehow that silence hurts more than anything they ever said to you. Here's why the narcissist's silent treatment works the way it does, and what's actually happening inside you when it does. What the silent treatment actually is. There's a difference between someone who needs space after an argument and someone who uses silence as a weapon. The first is healthy. People need time to process. Conversations don't always need to happen immediately. Taking space is not manipulation. The narcissist's silent treatment is something else. It is the deliberate withdrawal of communication, warmth, and acknowledgement, deployed specifically to produce pain, compliance, and fear of abandonment in the target. It is not about processing, it is about punishment. And it is one of the most psychologically effective tools in the narcissist's playbook because it exploits one of the most fundamental human needs, the need to be seen. Why it works so well. Researchers at UCLA found that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Being ignored by someone significant to you does not just feel bad in an emotional sense, it registers as a threat in the same part of your brain that processes a physical blow. This is why the silent treatment is so disproportionately effective. The pain you feel is not just hurt feelings, it's a neurological alarm signal, one that is wired to produce urgent corrective behavior. Your brain wants the pain to stop, and the only way it knows to stop the pain is to reconnect with the person who caused it. So you reach out, you apologize, often for things you didn't do. You become conciliatory, accommodating, desperate to restore contact. And when contact is finally restored, the relief is so intense that it creates a powerful bond, not with safety, but with the person who ended the pain. That bond is the point, not the punishment. The bond that forms when the punishment ends. The 3 phases of the narcissist's silent treatment. It tends to follow a pattern. Phase 1 is the trigger. Something happens, a perceived slight, a moment where you didn't give them the attention or validation they expected, a situation where you asserted yourself or disagreed. The trigger doesn't have to be significant. Often it isn't. Phase 2 is the withdrawal. Communication stops, warmth disappears. You are treated as if you don't exist, or as a minor inconvenience at best. This can last hours, days, or in more extreme cases, weeks. The length is calibrated, consciously or not, to your tolerance level, just long enough to produce maximum anxiety. Phase 3 is the return. Eventually, contact is restored, sometimes with an explanation, sometimes without. The relationship resumes, often more carefully, more anxiously on your side than before. You have learned, without being told, that certain behaviors lead to silence. You adjust accordingly, and then the cycle begins again, what it does to you over time. Repeated exposure to the silent treatment produces predictable psychological changes. You become hypervigilant. You monitor mood, tone, body language constantly, looking for early signals that withdrawal is coming so you can prevent it. This vigilance is exhausting. It is also a full transfer of your cognitive and emotional resources to the management of another person's emotional state. You develop what psychologists call anxious attachment. You become increasingly preoccupied with the relationship, increasingly sensitive to any sign of distance, increasingly willing to compromise your own needs and boundaries to maintain closeness. You also become increasingly ashamed. Because the things you do during the silent treatment, the desperate reaching out, the apologies for things you didn't do, the scrambling to fix something that was never your fault to begin with, don't feel like you, and they're not. They're the product of a neurological pain response being deliberately triggered by someone who knows exactly what they're doing, how to recognize when it's happening. A few markers distinguish the silent treatment from legitimate need for space. There is no explanation. Healthy withdrawal from conflict usually comes with some communication, even a simple, "I need some time." The silent treatment comes with nothing. The timing is reactive. It follows a specific event, usually one where you asserted yourself, disagreed, or failed to provide the response they wanted. It ends on their terms. Healthy space resolves when both people are ready. The silent treatment ends when the narcissist decides it ends, often when they've determined that you've suffered enough or when they want something from you. And critically, you feel responsible, not just uncomfortable, responsible, as if the silence is your fault and only you can fix it. That last feeling is the most reliable indicator. You did not create this situation, you are not responsible for fixing it, but you will feel as if you are, because that's exactly how it was designed to make you feel. What actually helps? The hardest thing about the silent treatment is that the response it produces, reaching out, apologizing, trying to fix things, is the response that reinforces it. Every time you end the silence first, you teach the narcissist that the silent treatment works. This is not a judgment, it's a description of a mechanism. The pain is real, the need to make it stop is real, and knowing this doesn't make it easy to do differently. But if you can hold on, if you can resist the urge to reach out, apologize, or collapse the silence, two things happen. First, the silent treatment loses some of its power over time. Not all of it, but some. Second, you get information. How long does the silence last without your intervention? What does the narcissist do when you don't chase? The answers to those questions tell you something important about the relationship that their words never will. One last thing. If you have been on the receiving end of the silent treatment repeatedly, if you recognize in what I've described something that has been shaping your behavior for months or years, I want to say this clearly. The fact that it worked on you is not evidence of weakness. It worked because it was designed to work. It exploits neurological wiring that every human being shares. You are not too sensitive, you are not broken, you are systematically targeted by a mechanism that was calibrated specifically for you. That's not your failure, that's your situation. And situations can change. Subscribe for more videos on the psychology of manipulation, narcissistic abuse, and how to protect yourself. I'll see you next week.